Hello guys, welcome to the session. This is Trishir Alva. I am going to teach chemistry from now instead of Pramod. So let's start with the first chapter in our chemistry, that's matter. Matter is chemistry. Chemistry is full of matter. Okay, it's a very important chapter, so please do pay attention. So today's index is particle characteristics, states of matter, effect of temperature, effect of pressure, elements, compounds and mixture, solution, colloid, suspension, and also the separation techniques. So today we'll be mainly covering everything that is present in chapters on NCERT textbook class 9, the first and second chapter for chemistry. That is matter in our surroundings and is matter around us pure. So let's start. Introduction. Everything in this universe is made up of material which scientists have named as matter. Okay, that means that everything around us is matter. What we eat, food, stones, clouds, stars, floor, house, water, and also even a particle of sand is considered as matter. So how do we define matter? Matter is anything and everything that occupies space and has mass. In other words, they have both mass and volume. Simple. Matter is anything that occupies space and has mass. In the other words, they have mass and volume. So, first, what the particle characteristics of matter? Matter is made up of particles. You know that particles of matter are continuously moving. Particles of matter attract each other. Okay, and particles of matter have molecular space between them. Okay, intermolecular space between them. Those are the characteristics of matter. Matter is made up of particles. They are in continuous motion. That is, they possess kinetic energy. Particles of matter are also attracting each other. That is, they possess intermolecular force of attraction. Next, we will discuss about the states of matter. Matter are classified into three main parts: solids, liquids and gases. And there is a fourth and fifth state of matter also, which we will discuss now. Solid is the particle characteristics of solid. Solids, the particles are closely packed, interparticular space is least, force of attraction is the most, kinetic energy is least, that is, they don't move, they just vibrate. They have definite shape and volume. Liquid, particles are less closely packed, more interparticular space is more than solids, force of attraction is lesser than solids, kinetic energy is more than solids, and definite volume only, indefinite shape and definite volume. Gases, least closely packed, highest interparticle space, least interparticular force of attraction, and also highest kinetic energy. They do not have definite shape nor definite volume. Okay, very easy. They do not have definite shape nor definite volume. One second. Yes. So you can observe here the particles are closely packed in solids, in liquids less closely packed, and in gases least closely packed. In gases the particles are moving, that is, they possess maximum kinetic energy. In liquids they move but less, so minimum less kinetic energy. Here the particles are the interparticular force of attraction is the most, so their kinetic energy is not seen much, they just vibrate, they do not possess any motion. Okay, now speaking about the fourth and fifth state of matter, fourth state is known as the plasma. Fourth state is known as a plasma. It's an ionized gas. What do you mean by ionized gas? The gas is cooled. Gas is ionized. That is, gas is cooled, then electrified, then the gas gets ionized. That is, they carry charge. Whereas another state is called as Bose-Einstein condensate. It's a super gaseous superfluid. That means that the gas is cooled to absolute zero Kelvin. That is something like minus 273.18 degree Celsius. It's cooled to that temperature. Then it becomes a superfluid. That is called as the Bose-Einstein condensate. Plasma is the ionized gas state, and Bose-Einstein condensate, it's a gaseous superfluid. Remember these things. Now, interconversion of states of matter. So, now let's take one solid. For example, let's take it as ice. Okay. Now, ice, the temperature is increased. What happens? Melting point is reached. Melting point is a certain temperature where the solid starts melting to form liquid. That's called as melting point at atmospheric pressure. So the melting point, when it reaches the melting point, the ice starts melting and forms liquid. Okay. The process is called as melting liquid. Now, this liquid, when heated further, what happens is it reaches temperature called boiling point. Boiling point is the temperature at which liquid starts boiling to form vapors. Okay, boiling point, vapors are formed, and the process called vaporization takes place, where liquid converts into water vapor with application of temperature and pressure, and reduce. Okay, right? Okay, this is over. Now we came to gas. Now how to convert this gas into liquid again? The process is called as condensation. Temperature below temperature is cooled. The gas is cooled down, and then it starts forming droplets of water. Then only the gas converts into liquid completely. For example, you can see dewdrops in the morning on the leaves, right? Early morning. That is an example of condensation. And liquid, when refrigerated, or when it attains freezing point, it solidifies into a solid, that is the ice cube. Simple. Now let's one second. There are two terms to be learned. Latent. What do you mean by latent heat? Hidden heat. Okay. Latent heat of vaporization. The amount of heat required to change 1 kg of solid into 1 kg of liquid is called as latent heat of fusion. The amount of heat required to change 1 kg of liquid into 1 kg of solid into 1 kg of liquid is called as latent heat of fusion. Latent heat of vaporization, the amount of heat required to change 1 kg of solid liquid into 1 kg of gas is called as, at atmospheric pressure, is called as latent heat of vaporization. Very easy definitions, you should remember this. Okay, we will talk about the concepts of latent heat of vaporization and fusion in the problem solving session. Okay, that time you will understand it more better. Problem solving session is next week. Menti quiz is tomorrow on this topic. Now, effect of change of pressure. what happens when pressure is increased and the temperature is decreased? See, when you change the temperature or when you reduce the temperature and increase the pressure, when gas is filled in a cylinder and piston is added, when pressure is increased and the temperature is reduced and the piston is pushed to downwards, what happens is the particles come closer, and kinetic energy also reduces, you know that, right? Particles come closer and forms a liquid. This is usually seen in LPG and CNG, and this liquid, when further compressed, it becomes a solid. Okay, this is seen in LPG and CNG and also in dry ice. You know what is dry ice? Dry ice is nothing but solid CO2. CO2 gas is compressed to form CO2 solid. That's all. When the pressure is released, pressure is reduced and temperature is increased, it comes back to its normal state. That is why you cannot melting of dry ice is impossible. Okay, I'll repeat it once again. It's a bit confusing concept. See, you fill in a gas, some sort of gas inside the cylinder. You know that gas is compressible. Okay, gas is compressible, right? You compress the gas by application of more pressure and reduced temperature. It forms liquid. Liquid is further compressed to form solid. This is because kinetic energy is reducing and force of attraction will also increase. Okay, when kinetic energy decreases, force of attraction increases. Okay, remember this point. It's seen in dry ice, LPG, CNG, etc. And one more thing I forgot to say: fluidity and rigidity. Rigidity is a property seen in solids, and fluidity is a property seen in liquids. Fluidity is the ability to flow. Rigidity is the ability not to flow and stay solid or rigid. That's all. Rigidity is seen in solids, fluidity is seen in liquids and gases. Next, evaporation. What's an evaporation? What do you mean by evaporation? What do you mean by evaporation? Evaporation is a surface phenomena which causes cooling effect. It's the same thing, that is the liquid turns into vapors here, the gas state, without the application of heat, external heat. For boiling you have to apply external heat, here without the application of external heat, and this causes cooling effect also, whereas in boiling no cooling effect occurs. Is called as evaporation. So the factors affecting the evaporation rate are surface area. If surface area increases, the evaporation rate also increases. That is why when a hot milk is kept in saucer, then the thing what is called as the jar, the milk cools faster. Faster cooling is observed in the saucer. That's all. Whereas, okay, we'll discuss about wind speed. When wind speed increases, evaporation also increases. Okay, wind speed. When temperature increases, evaporation increases. You know that thing. Wind speed example is when there is high winds blowing, you can observe that wet clothes dry faster. That's because of wind speed. And in temperature also, wet clothes dry faster in summer season than in rainy season. Now humidity. When humidity is more, evaporation is less. Therefore, in rainy seasons, clothes take longer time to evaporate. The water from the clothes take longer time to evaporate. So, surface area increases, evaporation increases. Humidity increases, evaporation decreases. Wind speed increases, evaporation increases. Temperature increase, evaporation increases. Simple. Now elements, compounds and mixtures. What do you mean by element? It is a substance made up of same type of atoms having same atomic number. Same type of atoms. It's made up of same type of atoms, not different type of atoms. What do you mean by mixture? Two or more substances combined together in a variable ratio, not fixed. It can be fixed or it can be not fixed. Anything is a mixture. Air is a mixture. Fizzy drink is a mixture, etc. And compound. What do you mean by a compound? It's a substance in which two or more elements combined to form compound in a fixed ratio. Two or more elements combine to form a new substance in a fixed ratio. Here in a compound the elements can be broken down, whereas the element cannot be broken down into atoms. Simple. Now types of mixture. Mixtures are classified into two types, homogeneous and heterogeneous. A homogeneous mixture is a solid, liquid or gaseous mixture that has the same proportion of components, that is the substances are mixed in a fixed ratio. Therefore homogeneous mixture can be separated, cannot be separated, not can be separated, cannot be separated. Heterogeneous has components in which the ratio varies, proportions vary, therefore it can be separated very easily. Okay, example, ice in soda and cereal in milk can be separated, right? And water, sand and metal, etc. Solution, suspension and a colloid. These are also types of mixtures. Solution. What's a solution? It's a clear, transparent and homogeneous mixture. The particle size is less than 1 nanometer. So Tyndall effect is not seen, not observed. Effect of sedimentation, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen, nothing is observed. And suspension is cloudy heterogeneous mixture and it has at least two substances visible. Okay, the solute and the solvent will be visible. The particle size is 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer, anything, the middle part. And it's greater than 100 nanometers. This is greater than 100 nanometer. Colloid is 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. Okay, just exchange it. Okay, effect of Tyndall effect variable. Only some suspensions you can observe Tyndall effect. And sedimentation, the particles eventually settle down at the bottom of the beaker. Very simple. Okay. And colloid is cloudy but uniform and homogeneous mixture. The colloidal particles measure from 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. The effect of Tyndall effect is observed clearly, that is light is dispersed by colloidal particles, and sedimentation, nothing is observed. Now types of colloids. If the dispersion medium, what's the dispersion medium? Dispersed phase is dissolved in a dispersion medium. So if you take it as, if you take this as dispersion phase and dispersion medium. Now okay, we'll take one example, whipped cream. Whipped cream, you just put some gas, that is a CO2 or something, CO2 dispersed in milk, that's all. What happens? It forms a foam, something like that. You observe the thing. Dispersed phase is liquid and dispersed medium is gas, then it's an aerosol, fog. So dispersed phase is solid and dispersed medium is gas, then it's a solid aerosol. That is smoke. You can see in smoke the particles, right? The solid particles dispersed in a gas. carbon particles. That's an example for that. And if the dispersed phase is gas and dispersed medium is liquid, foam is the example is whipped cream. Liquid, dispersed phase is liquid, dispersed medium is liquid. Emulsion, salad dressing you can see, and emulsion, even milk is an example for emulsion. Okay. Solid and liquid, it's called as salt. Dispersed phase is solid, dispersed medium is liquid, it's called as salt. Paint is gypsum, mica, something, some material. When it is dissolved in some liquid, it forms paint. So it's a salt. Gas, dispersed phase is gas, dispersed medium is solid, it's called as solid foam. In cake you can see the cake dressing. What is that called as? Something, I don't know what is it called as, I don't know. Oh sorry, it's a solid foam. You can take it as a sponge. Pumice stone, yes, pumice stone for pedicuring. They will use it, right? Pumice. There will be holes, and even sponge also, sponge. And liquid and solid, it's a jelly example. Solid salt, some stones, colored glass, etc. Now separation techniques. This is the last topic of this chapter. Separation techniques. Decanting. What is decanting? Separation of insoluble solids from liquids. What do you mean by insoluble solids? Which cannot be soluble in water, which cannot perfectly mix in water. That is called as insoluble. It does not perfectly mix in the water. That is called as insoluble. So what is decanting? The liquid is poured into other container, whereas the insoluble solid should be able to settle down on standing, and this method is not effective for obtaining clear liquid from mixture, especially when the insoluble solid is very fine and light. So what is the objective is, when the liquid is taken out from the one beaker to another beaker, the insoluble solid should settle down, and that is separated. But one problem is, if the insoluble solid is very light, thin, and very fine powder, then how can you separate it? That's the question. So for this we have a solution called as filtration. So this also separates insoluble solids from liquids. The filter paper is used. The filtrate is filtered by the filter paper. Simple method. And evaporation. You know what is evaporation? We do not need to collect the solvent when there is evaporation. If you want to collect the insoluble solid, if you want to collect insoluble solid, what you will do is, the water gets evaporated. For example, if you want to obtain solid copper 2 sulfate, what you have to do is, the solution you have to heat it and until it gets evaporated completely, and you will get the solid residue on the pan. Simple. Crystallization. Okay. Now you should know the concept of saturated solution. What is saturated solution? It contains maximum amount of solute in given volume of solvent at a particular temperature. So it's used in separating a solute from a saturated solution. That's all. Heat liable will solid solute from a solution. So what you have to do is, you have to evaporate most of the solvent from the solution to make a hot and nearly saturated solution. And okay, now allow the hot solution to cool naturally. The solubility of solid decreases as the solution is cooled, and the excess solute which is no longer dissolved in the saturated solution crystallizes out of the solution. The crystals which are formed can be separated by filtration. Very simple method. See what he does is he evaporates some solution, the solvent, and the rest residue is left there. Residue with some solvent is left. That is called a saturated solution. It has more solute but less solvent. So this saturated solution is cooled, then the saturation or solubility of solute decreases as it is cooled, right? What happens is the solute is observed as crystals on the surface of the beaker, so that can be separated from filtration. Simple. See the method. First evaporation, then the crystals are formed as it is cooled. Crystals are removed from by filtration method. Now simple distillation, it's used to separate and collect solvent from a solution of solutes, or in mixture of two different types of liquids. Okay, looks interesting. Yeah. Boiling stones for smooth boiling. It's used to separate a solvent from a solution of solutes or mixture of two different liquids. If you have to, what is done is the first, it's the same, similar to evaporation. The only difference is that a closed neck container distillation flask is used to hold a mixture that is to be heated with the opening tube by the side connected to a condenser. So when the liquid is evaporated and changes into vapor form, there will be a condenser which condenses it back to liquid, and this liquid is collected, that is the distillate is collected from the condenser in a separate beaker. This is how the mixture is separated. And fractional distillation, it's used to separate miscible liquids with different but very close boiling point. For example, separation of crude oil, you can see there will be a fractionating column, petrol, diesel, the kerosene, paraffin wax, everything is separated. That's one method, another type of distillation. But in the simple distillation, only it separates liquid which have boiling point greater than 25 degrees Celsius. Here it can distillate anything, any liquids. And sublimation, what do you mean by sublimation? You can see camphor, it changes into camphor vapors on its own. And if you take ammonium chloride, what happens is to separate a mixture of solids containing one sublime and another one which does not, you can heat the mixture, the sublimable solid then undergoes sublimation and converts into vaporized form. Okay, vaporized form, and the gas converts into gas. So salt is left on the salt. So if you want to separate salt and ammonium chloride, when ammonium chloride is heated, it converts into vapor form, and the salt residue is left on the pan. Now magnetization or magnetic attraction, if you want to separate rice and iron fillings, just use a magnet. The iron fillings will stick to the magnet because magnet attracts the iron fillings. And paper chromatography, it's used to separate a mixture of solutes having different solubility levels or degree of adsorption. So this method uses a porous or absorbent medium like paper or jet and a solvent which can move over the material. This method is used for separating a mixture of dyes in different types of sugar, etc. You know this thing, just you should know the thing. You learn about it in your future classes, more about it. So today we mainly discussed about the chapters in NCERT class 9, matter in surroundings and is matter around us pure. Now what we'll do is we had to discuss some important activities. So let's discuss about it and then end the session. I wanted to say about, okay, now if you dissolve some water, dissolve some salt in water, does the level of the water change? No. Why? Because there will be some interparticular space between water molecules, and salt occupies the space between water molecules. Therefore, there is no change in water level. This is one experiment that satisfies the matter is made up of, matter has interparticular space. And next one, this is, okay, we had to discuss about diffusion. Diffusion is a process in which the substance moves from its region of higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, diffusion of, you can say the example of hot sizzling food. You can smell the hot sizzling food very easily anywhere you are, but cold food you cannot smell. If you go near the food also, it's very difficult to smell. Why? The diffusion of food particles is less. As temperature decreases, the diffusion of food particles also reduce. Therefore, you should know that diffusion of particles depends on the temperature. When temperature increases, diffusion of particles also increases. And diver is able to cut through the water in a swimming pool. Okay, this is a simple thing. He can cut easily through the thing that defines the property of force of attraction between particles of matter. Okay, next activity. Okay, please refer to NCERT textbook. You can get it on online. You can get it online in the NCERT website only for free. Please do check it out. Now, factors affecting evaporation. So, know that surface area is first factor. Milk when kept in a saucer cools faster than kept in a jar, because you know that evaporation causes cooling effect, and surface area of dish increases, the evaporation level also increases. That's all. That's the phenomena behind it. And temperature, you know, when temperature increases, kinetic energy of particles increase, and humidity also, you know, we discussed about it. And wind speed also, you know. Now, cooling of how does evaporation cause cooling? We have to discuss this thing. So, you know, sweating is also a mechanism of cooling. You know, why should we wear cotton clothes in summer? And why do we see water droplets on the outer surface of glass during ice cold water? That's because the water vapor present in air on coming in contact with cold glass of water loses energy and gets converted into liquid state. I'll repeat once again. Water vapor present in the air, or humidity rather, on coming in contact with cold surface of glass, loses energy and get converted into liquid state. And we spoke about plasma and Bose-Einstein condensate. Plasma is a super energetic ionized gas, and Bose-Einstein condensate is a super fluid. Okay, we discussed about it. And then okay, this is the mixture. Okay, this is something related to separation. Filter paper. Okay, chromatography. Chromatography. And one more thing, how do you separate uh, cream cream from milk? Cream, not whipped cream. Then see some cream floating on milk right after you boil it. Cream and milk. That's done by chromatography. No, sorry, centrifugation. Centrifugation method of separation. How do you centrifugate? Okay, take some full cream milk in a test tube. Use centrifugation machine. It rotates the milk so fast, rotating. You can, or you can do this activity by using a milk churner. You know how to churn milk, right? That is also okay. So centrifugation machine, what happens is the cream separates very easily by centrifugation method. That is the advantage of that's the method of separating cream from milk. You should know the word centrifugation method. It is by application of centrifugal force. Simple. So you know about Google Classroom. If you don't know, please do watch our YouTube video. Math code is 5. Okay. You just take a screenshot of this code. Okay. If you are interested, you can join the Google Classroom. You miss many things. How to join Google Classroom? Go to Google Classroom app or website. Click on join class and enter code. Very simple. As simple as that. Next, please subscribe and share these channels also. If you are in class 10 and you are looking for some good videos for class 10 science and also mathematics subject, please watch class 10 science and math and believe study channel. Please do subscribe their channel too and also our channel. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you very much. If any doubts, reach us at alvatrishir@gmail.com. Please like, share, subscribe the video and please press the bell icon to get more notifications about our videos. Thank you.